So we have this question that I've saved into a Word document about being able to create a Termbase from scratch. What extension will it get? Can I do it in Excel, or do I need to create it with an STL? Yes, you could do it with an STL. You could create it in multi-term. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this in an easy way. And I'm just going to go through the translation of this document. I may not actually translate it myself, but hopefully you'll get the idea. So to begin with, let's just open that file in Studio. So I'm just going to click on Translate Single Document. Open up that document. I'm currently going English to French. I'll just leave it at that. So we'll go English to French with that file. I'm going to use entirely machine translation of this because I don't speak French. But you'll get the idea, I'm sure. So once the file opens, I've got no translation memory, I've got no Termbase associated with this whatsoever, just the file. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to go to my project settings and I'm going to add Be Global Community. This is a machine translation engine just to do the translation for me, to make it simple. And in case you didn't know and you didn't have a translation memory, I'll create a new one as we're going along. It's not necessarily the best way to do this. You should probably do this before you start so it's in your main settings, but you can create them on the fly. So I'll just go, this is my my glossary test, and it's EN to FR, English to French. So I'll finish there. So that's my translation memory created. Not too tricky. So I've got a machine translation engine and a proper translation memory. I'll click OK there. So what I should start getting now is some results from the machine translation engine, and I'm just going to assume these are all completely correct, and I'm going to save these as I'm working along. So the speed at which these come very much depends on your network connection. I'm working from home today while I do this, so it's not as fast as it might be if I were in the office, but it's not too bad. And I guess I could have pre-translated it before I started using machine translation, gone and made a cup of tea. When I came back it would have all been done. If I wanted to do this, I fully appreciate many of you don't want to work like this. Okay, so I've added all of these terms now as translation memory units into my translation memory. So what I'm going to do now is add well, let me just first of all go back to my project settings so we don't keep looking up in this. I'll just remove this. So I've just got my translation memory left. So you can still see I'm still getting results here, but this time they're coming only from my translation memory. So now let's see what we're going to do about a Termbase. So I'll come to this folder again where I've now got my project file and the file that I opened for translation. And I'm going to open up Microsoft Excel, and I'm just going to create in here very quickly. I'll just save it first of all. Let's make sure it goes into the same Termbase, and I'm going to call it, I'll just call it the glossary. So in this folder now, I've now got a glossary. Oops, oh, excuse me. And I'm going to call this English, French. Doesn't matter which way around this is. Just to get it started, I'll put one word in each one. One. And that's the extent of my French, really. So I shall save that and close it. Then what I'll do is I'm going to go to my welcome view. Now you won't have this yet, but there's a free application on the Open Exchange called the Glossary Converter, which you can go and download from the Open Exchange for nothing. Just go to the Open Exchange, search for Glossary Converter. In fact, if you go to the Open Exchange and click on the most downloaded items, in fact perhaps I'll show you. So let me just go over here. Open. And I'll just put this over here so I can show you. Let me just go to the home page on the App Store. So if you just go to translationzone.com Open Exchange, and if you were to click on the most downloaded, it's the easiest way to find this particular application because it's very popular, and you'll see that the second most popular item is the Glossary Converter. It says 0 downloads. This is incorrect. There's something wrong with my browser today, or there's something funny going on. It definitely isn't 0 downloads. I think it's something like 6,000-7,000 downloads at the moment. But anyway, you just download it from here. You log into your My account, and then it allows you to download the application. And when you've downloaded it, you can then add it into Studio here. You don't have to, you can run it separately, but it's quite neat in here, and you can add it in here using Studio Menu Maker, which is another application on the Open Exchange. Anyway, I'm just going to click on the Glossary Converter, and this starts the application up, and this is what it looks like. It's just this little box like this. I come back to here, and I just pick up my glossary that I just created in Excel, and I just drop it into there like that. And dropping it in, you can do more than just a simple glossary, but for something simple like this, it's automatically identified which languages I want, because that's what I put in the first row. I click on OK, and then creates my Termbase, and there it is, glossary.sdltb, SDL Termbase. The other files it created are just index files. You could delete these if you want to, and it won't have any harm whatsoever, but as soon as you open it back up again, they'll be recreated because they're used by the database. But if you were sharing the Termbase with somebody, you only need to copy that one across. I don't even need the Excel file anymore. So let's just go back to Studio. Now I've created that. Go back to my file, which is here. So I open the file up again, and I click on my project Termbase settings. I can now add in here that Termbase, which is this one. Open. Okay. So that's my Termbase added. So I now have a Termbase that is visible, and if I just put the Termbase viewer on so we can see it, maybe I'll just lock this for the time being. You can set this up any way you like. That's just how I've decided to set it up. And you can see that the one term that I added in here is in there. There's only one term at the moment. So if I wanted to add a term, I could click on hello, bonjour. Control F2 is the default to add a new term. First time you do it, it may be a little bit slow because of the Java kicking itself in. Just let me move that over a little bit so I can see all the icons. I can click on save, and I've added another term. Let's add another one. Say simple terms. Let's add a little phrase. Simple terms. Looks like it should be that one. Control F2. Save. So I've now added more. So I have now more terms. I'll leave it at that for the time being. So I've just added, maybe I'll add just one more. I'd like to know 3 things. There's another word I definitely know. Control F2. Add that term as well and save it. So now I've added 3 new terms to that Termbase. So I'll save the work that I've done so far. So my project is all there. I'll close that file for the time being. And if I go back to my if I go back to my Termbase, I don't usually use Windows Explorer, so it just threw me for a second. You can see the index files have been created again. If I double click this will open it up in multi-term, so I can also edit the Termbase in multi-term if I want to. So I'll just open that up. And here's my Termbase in multi-term, and I can do a lot of editing, change the definition, you can do all kinds of things in multi-term. You don't necessarily need to have it open, you don't necessarily need to use it. What I can do is if I go back to my welcome view and I start the Glossary Converter up again, I can take the glossary SDLTB and I can drag that back into here anytime I like. Say OK, and this will do the reverse for me. So this has now converted that back to an Excel spreadsheet. So if I wanted to do a bit of editing, I could even just do it in here if I wanted to. So there's all my terms in Excel. So you can go backwards and forwards between Excel and multi-term, all via a spreadsheet, or without using multi-term itself, just by using the Glossary Converter. So I definitely recommend taking the Glossary Converter. It's a nice application.